Twitter, Bootstrap, interview questions and answers. Beginner means advanced. Introduction. Twitter Bootstrap, now commonly called Bootstrap, is a popular open-source CSS framework used for building responsive and mobile-first web applications. Bootstrap was originally developed by Twitter engineers and is widely used for responsive web design, front-end development, admin dashboards, enterprise applications, mobile-first websites. Bootstrap provides responsive grid system, pre-built UI components, utility classes, JavaScript plugins, cross-browser compatibility. 1 to 20. Bootstrap Basics. What is Bootstrap? Bootstrap is a CSS framework for building responsive web applications. Faster development, responsive layouts, reusable components, mobile-first design. Who developed Bootstrap? Originally developed by Twitter engineers Mark Otto and Jacob Thornton. What languages are used in Bootstrap? HTML, CSS, JavaScript. What is responsive web design? Design adapting to different screen sizes. What is mobile-first design? Designing for mobile devices before desktops. How to include Bootstrap via CDN. Link rel stylesheet href bootstrap.css. What is Bootstrap container? Layout wrapper for content. Types of containers in Bootstrap. Container. Container fluid. What is Bootstrap grid system? Responsive layout system using rows and columns. How many columns are in Bootstrap grid? 12 columns. Basic grid example. Div class equals row. Div class col6. A div class col6. B div, etc. What is row in Bootstrap? Horizontal grouping of columns. What is column in Bootstrap? Layout unit inside rows. Bootstrap breakpoints. Check. SM, MD, LG, XL, XXL. What is utility class? Predefined helper class for styling. Example utility class, div class text center. Margin and padding helper classes. Margin utility example. Div class M3, div. Padding utility example. Div class P4, div. 21 to 40. Bootstrap components. What is Bootstrap button? Button class equals btn primary, save. Button, common button classes. btn primary, btn secondary, btn success, btn danger. What is Bootstrap navbar? Responsive navigation component. Navbar example. Nav class, navbar expand LG navbar light. What is Bootstrap card? Flexible content container. Card example. Div class a card, div class a card body, hello, div. What is Bootstrap modal? Pop-up dialog component. What is Bootstrap alert? Message notification component. Alert example. Div class equals alert success. Saved successfully, div. What is Bootstrap table? Styled table component. Table example. Table class table, div. What is Bootstrap form? Styled form controls and layouts. Input field example. Input class form control. What is input group? Combined input and add-on elements. What is Bootstrap dropdown? Expandable menu component. What is accordion? Expandable collapsible content sections. What is carousel? Image content slideshow component. What is badge? Small count or label component. Badge example. Span class badge BG primary, new. What is breadcrumb? Navigation path component. 41 to 70. Advanced Bootstrap concepts. What is Bootstrap JavaScript plugin? Interactive component powered by JavaScript. Bootstrap JS components? Check. Modal, tooltip, dropdown, carousel. What is tooltip? Small hover pop-up message. What is popover? Extended pop-up content component. What is collapse component? Expand collapse content functionality. What is responsive utility class? Utility applied for specific screen sizes. Responsive display example. Div class equals dnone dmd block. What is Bootstrap flex utility? Flexbox helper classes. Flex example. Div class equals dflex justify content center. Div. What is Bootstrap typography? Text styling utilities. Typography examples. Text center. Text phi, bold. Text phi, italic. What is Bootstrap icon library? Official icon collection for Bootstrap. What is Sass in Bootstrap? CSS preprocessor used for customization. What is Bootstrap theme customization? Modifying colors, spacing, and styles. What is Bootstrap variable? Reusable Sass configuration value. What is Bootstrap responsive image? Image class image fluid. What is image fluid? Makes image responsive. What is Bootstrap shadow utility? Div class shadow. Div. What is Bootstrap positioning utility? Helper classes for element positioning. Position utility example. Div class position relative. Div. What is Z-index utility? Controls element stacking order. What is Bootstrap dark mode? What is Bootstrap RTL support? Right to left language support. What is accessibility in Bootstrap? Making UI usable for all users. What is ARIA in Bootstrap? Accessibility attributes for assistive technologies. What is responsive navbar? Navbar adapting to screen sizes. What is Bootstrap off canvas? Sidebar style hidden panel. What is Bootstrap spinner? Spinner example. Div class spinner border. Div. What is sticky top class? Keeps element fixed during scroll. 71 to 100 Bootstrap optimization and best practices. What is Bootstrap customization? Modifying framework styles and components. What is Bootstrap bundle? Combined Bootstrap JS and Popper.js. What is Popper.js? Library for positioning dropdowns tooltips. What is tree shaking in Bootstrap? Removing unused styles scripts. What is CSS minification? Reducing CSS file size. What is Bootstrap CDN advantage? Faster loading, caching benefits. What is local Bootstrap installation? Hosting Bootstrap files locally. Bootstrap versus Tailwind CSS. Bootstrap provides components. Tailwind provides utility for styling. Bootstrap versus Material UI. Bootstrap is generic CSS framework. Material UI follows material design. What is front-end framework? Framework simplifying UI development. What is Bootstrap responsive design strategy? Using grid system and breakpoints. Common Bootstrap interview topics: grid system, responsive design, utility classes, forms, components, common Bootstrap problems, key overriding styles, responsiveness issues, large CSS size. Best practices for Bootstrap: avoid excessive overrides, use responsive utilities, optimize unused CSS. What is custom CSS with Bootstrap? Additional styling layered on Bootstrap. What is Bootstrap reboot? CSS reset and normalization styles. What is viewport meta tag? Meta name viewport, content equals width, device width, initial scale equals 1. Why is viewport meta tag important? Enables responsive layouts on mobile devices. Upgrading between Bootstrap versions. Bootstrap 4 versus Bootstrap 5. Bootstrap 5 removed jQuery dependency. What is jQuery dependency in Bootstrap? Older Bootstrap versions required jQuery. What is Bootstrap 5 advantage? Check no jQuery dependency, improved utilities, better customization. What is CSS specificity issue? Conflicting style priorities. What is responsive testing? Testing layouts on multiple devices. What is browser compatibility? Ensuring app works across browsers. How to optimize Bootstrap performance. CRI, remove unused CSS. CMI, minify assets. CMI, lazy load resources. How to become strong in Bootstrap. Quote, practice grid layouts. Build responsive pages. Customize themes. Understand utility classes. Biggest Bootstrap interview concept? Responsive component-based front-end design. Key Bootstrap interview focus. Grid system, responsiveness, components, and utility classes. Why is Bootstrap popular? Rapid UI development with responsive design support. Final summary. Bootstrap interviews focus on responsive grid system, utility classes, forms and components, responsive design, Bootstrap customization, JavaScript plugins, accessibility, front-end optimization. Key idea. Strong Bootstrap developers understand responsive layouts, reusable UI components, and mobile-first front-end development.